Derwent have tripled their drawing pencil collection from 24 to 72, so I bought a set and let's swatch them out. So hello if you're new here, my name is Katie, I'm a full-time sketchbook artist and I've reviewed these before. I love these pencils and I'm excited to give them a go today. So let's fill our sketchbook with some swatching and I'll show you how I use them in my work. So here is the tin of 72, so the range before this was a set of 24, so they have tripled it now. And it's very, very satisfying seeing all of the colours in here. So there are 2 layers of this, and you can see them there. I did buy these from the Derwent website. So I did buy them for £190.72, which is what it's listed at there. But the RRP is £175. So they definitely upped it on the Derwent website. And I think that was because of the codes that they've got on. So I did use a 30% off code, which definitely helped soften the blow because, you know, pencils aren't very cheap. But definitely something to think about. Definitely take a look around. If you're in America, they are launching in November, I believe. You can get them from Blix. But yeah, definitely worth shopping around because unfortunately I do have expensive taste with art supplies, but I do think you can tell the difference. So I did buy these with my own money. I have worked with Derwent in the past, but not on the Derwent Drawing range. So I've got a video on my channel, which I'll link up above, and I reviewed the 24 set that I have. Now they live in a pot on my desk now and they are very well loved, but you do get the 24 in this set too, so you can buy them individually, which I think is really good from Derwent. So you can buy them open stock. That means you don't have to buy all of the ones that you might already have again, but I did because I do know that I love them. There are some really lovely colours that I know I would reach for again and again, so I just decided to get the set of 72, knowing that I'm now set for many, many years without having to rebuy any. So in that video, which I'll link above, I did review and test them out. So these are the original 24 colours here. I also compared them to luminance pencils and polychromo. So if you want to know how these pencils compare to these other brands and also how they layer down here, then you can watch that. As I said, I've linked it up in the cards and down in the description. And I also did this piece just with pencils. But when I was recording this video, I definitely said I wish there was a few more colours, certainly some brighter greens. They did have a lot of browns, but there weren't any purples, for example. So I'm really excited. They did have a lot of greens, but definitely no bright ones. The Derwent Drawing range is supposed to be muted, but I'm really looking forward to swatching them all today. So what I'll do is I'll swatch these out in my sketchbook. I will let you know which ones are in the 24 set, but they have tripled it, so there's going to be plenty of new ones and I'm really looking forward to giving these a try today. I'll do the swatch pages and then I'll do a piece of art just with these pencils, and then I mostly use my pencils as an extra layer on top of my gouache. So I'll also be doing a painting and then using these on top so you can see how I generally use Derwent Drawing pencils in my work. So without further ado, let's do some swatching. I'm going to try and keep them in order as they are, and we'll work our way through this new Derwent Drawing set of 72 pencils. So I'm going to be swatching these in my Fabriano Venezia sketchbook. Really nice white paper. I find that it works great with pencils, so I'm going to be filling this spread with my swatches. So first up we've got Champagne 0100. That's a really nice soft yellow. Then we head straight into the other yellows. So there are some softer yellows, but they're in the second tray. So I'm just working my way along this top tray. This one is Sunflower 0200. Next we have Gold 0400. That's more of a mustardy one. That's a nice colour. Really muted. You can definitely see more brown tones compared to the Sunflower next to it. I've already messed up. So there's one in between that, which is mustard. So this one's gold and this one's mustard. Let's see. Oh yeah, a little bit more yellow there. So that one should be in between those two. Okay, then we had gold. Next up is Apricot 0500. I wouldn't say that's apricot, that's a really warm brown. We have Autumn Leaf 0600. That's a lovely name for a pencil. See how that compares. Oh yeah, so it's a little bit more red tone, that one. The apricot is more brown toned. Next we have Rust. More red toned again. Actually pretty red tone. I'd say it's more red than brown. I think it does match the colours on the ends of the pencils really well, which is good. And then we have Strawberry. So we are definitely leaning more into the reds now. Not too many reds in this set. They definitely still have a muted tone, so there's not going to be any super bright ones in this collection because that's not what the Derwent Drawing pencils are all about. So that's quite deep red. And then we have Autumn Red. Definitely getting some inspiration for autumn palettes here. And last for this row we've got Rioja. Probably pronouncing that very, very badly. But again, we're going darker still, so very deep red brown there, which is 1000. So far we haven't had any of the original 24. I think this top layer is mostly new ones. So next we've got light sienna, which is 1610. Then we have light rust, 1650. Ooh, that's a lovely colour. That's more like a salmony pink, I think. These are all my kind of muted tones. So next we have dusky pink, 1700. Oh yeah, that's definitely more pink. That's lovely. It's interesting that we have some in-between colours, so 1610, 1650, whereas the ones above all went up in 100s. Next we have Bistra, 1800. Oh, that's a bit different. Thought we'd go more pinky, but that's definitely more toned back. It's like a warm sort of stone sandy colour. And then we jump straight into brighter pink, so we've got Ash Rose 1900. It's a bit more pink actually, I think. I was thinking that would be more purple looking at the colour, but it's definitely not. So that's a bit different from the end of the pencils. Definitely more pink than lilac to me, but we are going into some other lilacs coming up. Okay, next up is Burnt Rose 2000. Oh yeah. Okay, so that's more like a sort of plummy colour. And then Grape. Ooh, okay, that's much darker than it looks. So this is a sort of soft purple. It looks more purple when it's sat next to the other ones in the set. Very, very dark colour. It's nice to see some contrast coming in with the different tones, because a lot of these are sort of mid to light tone, I'd say. So then we have Soft Violet 2200. Oh, that's a lovely colour. I think that's more what I thought the Ash Rose was going to be like. That's really nice. Again, these are all new colours still. And we have Heather. Oh yeah. Okay, nice. These are, yeah, definitely different from the original set. So they're not, they are brighter, but they're still definitely muted tones. They're definitely rich in pigment, but they're not super vibrant. Then we have Violet Dusk. This one's 2400. Oh, okay, that might be one of my favourites. That's really lovely. A nice sort of blue toned purple. So that's 2400. Next is Slate Violet 2500. So that sounds more like a grey tone. Yeah, definitely more muted than the other one. And I can definitely see the grey tone in that one. Then we have Delft Blue 2600. So we've jumped straight up to some blues now. This one's a really dark blue. That's very nice. Not as dark as the Luminance Indigo. Definitely more blue tone than that. Next is Royal Blue 2700. Ooh, okay. That's actually more purple than I would say a royal blue is. It's not quite as rich as a royal blue I would think of, but that's very, very nice. Definitely more purple toned. Then we have Teal Blue 2800. Definitely not what I would call a teal. I don't know why it's called that, but that's a very nice soft blue as well. It's like a pale version of sky blue in the near colours. So that's 2800. I can feel a little bit of difference with the pigment as I'm swatching these, so it'll be interesting to do a drawing with it later. Next is Polar Ice 2900. Ooh, yes, this one's very soft. The one before felt a bit more scratchy. This one's much softer and a very lovely mid-tone blue. Then we're moving on to more darker blue, so this one's Deep Atlantic. It's got a touch of green in that one. Okay, we're on to Solway Blue. Now this one is one of my favourites. This is definitely in the original 24 set. It's looking more grey here, more grey than blue, but that definitely gets a lot of use already in my collection. That's 3615. So I'm actually going to underline that so that we know it's in the 24 set. Then we're back to some new ones, so Ink Blue 3720. It's odd to put the Solway Blue in between these because it doesn't quite match, but this one is definitely darker and more muted than the Deep Atlantic. Still got that green tone to it. Then we have Ash Blue, this is 3740. Oh, that's nice. That's like a... Oh yeah, it's got more green tone to it again. So we are moving into the green, so shouldn't be surprised by that one. That's very nice. And then the last one for this row is Smoke Blue, which again is from the 24 set. So actually pretty similar to that new Ash Blue, but the Ash Blue is more muted than this one, so this one's slightly more bluey green toned. That one's got a bit more grey in it. You can see I'm trying to get rid of some of the pigment, but it is smudging a little bit. So that's from the original 24 set too. Now we've got Fur Green 3900. Got quite a lot of these greeny greys. That's darker again, so that's darker than the Smoke Blue, so there's a nice sort of gradient between those last three. And now Spruce Green 4000. Oh yeah, darker still, but definitely still that same tone. That's very nice. I can see a lot of use out of this one for me. Next up is Distant Green 4100. Oh, okay, this one's very different. This one's much brighter than all of the other ones, I'd say. I was expecting that to be a little bit more muted. Then we have Pale Cedar, which is much more yellow toned. You can definitely see a difference there. It's quite a big jump. And this one is also from the original 24 set. So that's 4125, so I'm going to underline that one. Then we have Green Shadow 4135. So I'm going to put that in there. It's still a warm green. It's darker and it's definitely more grey toned than the one we've just come from. So that's 4135, also from the original 24 set. Now I've just gone to grab the next colour and I've got two green shadows in here. So it looks like something's gone wrong there because I'm pretty sure I shouldn't have two green shadows. I've just looked up the colour chart and it looks like I'm missing Crag Green, which was from the original set. So we've gone 4135 and Crag Green is 5090. Let me just check the other tray to check it's not there. No, it's definitely not there, so I'm going to swatch my Crag Green and then maybe contact Derwent because I've got two green shadows there. I wonder how many people have got that. Definitely check yours if you're the same, because I do really like this Crag Green. It feels like this and this should go next to each other because this one's a slightly darker version of the original green shadow, but this is another one that was in the original 24 set. Okay, now we're on to the second tray and we've got a very, very vibrant green. So this one is Fresh Green 5095, another new one. Now this is my perfect green, really, really nice, very yellow toned green. So I was really happy to see this in the set. Now when I look at this on the barrel, it definitely looks more like an apple green, but it swatches much, much nicer than I think it looks on here. So much nicer yellow green there. I would love to see a darker version of that, but let's see what's up next. So this one is Moss Green 5100, another new one. Okay, I do think that they pair nicely. It would have been nice to see sort of a mid one in between, but again, I think it's nicer than what it looks like on the end of the barrel. I can definitely see myself using those two together. Again, it would be nice to go darker, but we are going lighter next with Light Moss 5100. Okay, so we've gone a cooler green here, so we've gone quite yellow toned and now we're going a little bit away from that, so that's 5110. And then Green Earth 5120. That's quite similar actually. Let me swatch that out. So that's Green Earth. And if I go back to these ones, feels like it could go in between there actually, or in between these two. Very, very similar I think. A little bit more, actually it's a bit more yellow toned I'd say, and a bit darker. Okay, now we're going back to some more blue toned green. So this one is Rainforest. That's a nice name. 5130. Oh yeah, okay. That's nice. Very, very pigmented. I can see that's much more green toned actually. That feels more true green. There's less blue in it than I thought. Next is Sage Leaf 5140. I can definitely see similarities in some of these other colours, but there are definitely different pigments in. This one's lovely and soft as well, which I really like. I feel like that would blend really nicely. Next we have Olive Earth 5160, which is also from the original 24. This one's a lovely one. This one I use a lot. So this is like a very dark olive green. Obviously it's called Olive Earth, so there is definitely a brown tone in there too. Then we have Warm Earth 5550, again from the 24 set. And that's more of a brown. So I definitely think this second tray has got a lot more of the original 24 in, so we'll get a few more duplicates here. but that's definitely more of a brown. And the next one is a new one, which is called Woodland 5600. Oh, that's a very nice brown. Yeah, I like that a lot. Again, quite thick pigment coming down as well. Very, very rich. That's a nice new colour. And then a dark brown, which is another new one. This one's 5650. Oh yeah, definitely cooler than the one on the left. Again, it feels really nice. I do love the feeling of the browns in these Derwent Drawing pencils. Then we have Brown Ochre 5700, which was also from the original 24 set. Definitely ochre, that one. Very, very nice. Bit of a jump there between those two swatches. Then we have Wheat, which is very, very lovely. This one's definitely more of a dirtier, sort of creamy stone colour. This one's from the original set as well. Oh, I need to go back and underline the brown ochre. This one is lovely. I do use that a lot for my past. It's definitely dirtier than that champagne we swatched at the very beginning. Next is light ochre. Oh, that's lovely. That's really nice. I can definitely see myself using those two a lot. So this is a new one, 5717. But this next one, which is yellow ochre, this is from the 24 set. So it's definitely, this one's more yellow toned, a bit more warm than the new light ochre. So this is yellow ochre 5720 from the original 24. So similar in tone, but this one's definitely more yellow. There's a few coming up that are from the 24 set. So we've got Sepia, in brackets red 6110. I do use this one a lot in my work. This is one of my favourite browns. And then Mars Orange, which again is from the... Oh, am I going to have enough space to fit these all in? I think I've gone a little bit big. So a bit more brown tone than the oranges I swatched above, 6210, also from the 24 set. Sanguine is another one from the 24 set, so it's slightly darker and a bit more red toned than the sepia red. And then Venetian red 6300 is another one from the original 24, so we've got a lot here. There were a lot of browns in that original 24, and there's still a lot of browns in this set too. Again, another really nice warm brown. Next we also have Terracotta, also from the original 24 set. Luckily this new 72 set has given us some more cooler, darker browns. Okay, they're all together it seems, because the next one is also from the 24 set. This is Mars Violet 6470. This would be a really nice dark tone to some of those newer violets. It's definitely got a brown tint to it though. Then we have Ruby Earth 6510. This one is warmer than the one on the left. Definitely still got that purple tint to it. And this is also from the original 24 set. As is the next two, so we've got Chocolate 6600. Chocolate is a really lovely, very, very dark brown. Almost leans black, but it definitely is just a dark brown. But I use this quite a lot when I want a very dark tone in my work. It's interesting that they're all together. This is the Ivory Black. So this is also from the 24 6700. So you can see, I don't know if it will be quite as obvious on camera, but this one is definitely a brown versus this very cool black. Okay, there's a few more from the original 24 set, so this second layer definitely has those in, but this one is a new colour, and this one is Midnight. So this seems similar to the indigo, so this is a blue. Definitely is more blue than the black, but it's very, very dark, and that's a new colour. I'm going to try and squeeze in the extra two that I've got. So this one is Forest 6720. I don't know, is that a very dark green? It definitely looks more black. It's more like a warm toned black. I'm not sure on the name of that one being called Forest, but I think it's a very, very dark green. It's definitely darker than my favourite dark Thalocene green in the Luminance. Then we have Mist. Oh, that's nice. That's a little bit warmer than the Solway Blue, but very similar. 6730, so another new one. We also have Platinum. Oh yeah, okay, so you can see how warm that one next to it is compared to this one. This is very similar to Solway Blue. Then we have Carbon Grey, another new one. Oh, that's a lovely grey. That's also warm. I do like that one. Next is warm grey. So this is from the original 24 set. You can definitely see how warm that one is. I'd say that's more browny than grey. That's 7010. And then we have cool grey. Another one from the original set. So that one leans more grey to me. You can definitely see a difference there between the one next to it. So that's 7120. Okay, we've got some more greys in this 72 set. So we've got Granite 7125. Oh yeah, that one's very smooth. That's a lovely grey. It's nice to see some of these darker greys. And then Taupe, which is 7130. This is more of a violet toned grey. And then Fossil Grey 7140. Very similar actually. Yeah, really similar. A little bit more grey toned, I think. That one's got a little bit more red in compared to this one. So that's another new one. We're going up in 10s again here. Then we have Arctic. Oh, that's lovely. I really like that. So that's 7145. That's like a very cool ice blue, very, very light tone. Very hard to show. Then we've got Oyster, a new one, 7155. That's more of a pink, so you can see a very cool pink. Those work really nicely together. It's going to be hard to even get this to show up on my camera, I think. And then one of my favourite whites, which is Chinese White 7200 from the original set that I use a lot. It's more of a cream tone white, but again, hard to show you on this white paper. Okay, so here is my finished swatch page. Some really lovely colours, some surprises in there too. So I really love this fresh green, which is like an olive yellow. And then I really love this one, 2800, which is teal blue, which has a very odd name, but some really nice dark tones as well. I think there's some lovely shades in here. Definitely going to speak to Derwent about my doubling up of the green shadow and not the crag green, because I do really like the crag green. I would say that there are definitely some similarities in a few of them. So especially the 7130, 7140, there's a very slight difference, but I don't know that it's enough of a difference to need both. If you're going to do a set of 72, I feel like you could have a bit more of a difference there, because it's not like you've got 180 and you need them slightly different. But then again, maybe I'm not speaking as a coloured pencil artist, I am a mixed media artist, so definitely bear that in mind. The one that I wanted to test against was 67440 and 3015, so that's one of the new ones, Platinum versus the Solway Blue. So I'm just going to go to the back where I do my swatching, just so we can see if it's worth buying both of them. So this one is the Platinum and this is the Solway Blue. Oh yeah, okay, so it's definitely more blue toned. You can see a difference there. They are very similar. This one's definitely warmer compared to the Solway Blue, so that's 3615 if you want to decide for yourself if that's different enough for you. Very, very similar in tone, so very, very mid-tone there. And hopefully this is helpful for you to see if you need to double up any of them. I'm just going to see if there's any other very similar ones. Okay, so we've got the Crag Green, which I had to swatch from my original 24 set because I didn't get one in this one, versus the new Green Earth 5120. So yeah, really similar. Now I can see a difference, but as I said, it's up to you if you want to have both. This one is slightly more yellow toned, but again, very similar in tone in terms of being mid. So that's 5120, but a little bit more yellow, but you can definitely see how similar these are. There's more of a difference here than with these two, I think. So let me just underline. So this one's from the originals, and so is this one. So if you just want to get the 24 set. And then the other ones I want to compare is Ruby Earth 6510, which is from the 24 set too, versus the new Burnt Rose 2000. So the new Burnt Rose is definitely more purple toned. There's definitely a bit more of a purple in that. But again, similar. This Ruby Earth is definitely more red. But again, very, very similar. Hopefully that's picking up on the camera. I know that it won't be perfect. and I can definitely see more of the purple tone in real life than on the camera screen, but I'll try and colour correct it as much as I can. But yeah, you can really see here, I think with a 72 set, it would make more sense to have a bigger difference in between some of these. Now, when I go back to my swatch page, interestingly, they haven't put these together. So that's this one and this one, which they've spaced out quite a lot, and the same with the Solway Blues, although that wasn't too bad. And then the Crag Green versus the Green Earth. But yeah, hopefully that helps you to see. I might swatch this one with it as well, the 4125. Just doing some comparisons for you, which hopefully are helpful if you don't want to get them all. So this one's 4125, which is Pale Cedar from the original. Oh yeah. So there is a difference there. This one's definitely more yellow toned. Let's put this one next to this one. And this is from the 24 set. And these two are very similar. So a bit odd to have those in the same set. But anyway, those are my thoughts. Hopefully that is helpful for you to make your own decisions if you want to get the full new 72 set or just the 24 set if you don't have any of these. I do really like them as pencils, and I'll be talking about how they feel in the next section. But those are all of the swatches, so I do hope that was helpful for you to see all of the new colours. I am really excited to use some of these and give them a go in my art. So let's move on to doing that, and I'll show you my drawing process. So I'm just going to be doing the drawing again in the Venezia sketchbook. I do have a video reviewing this, so I'll leave that linked up in the cards and down in the description if you want to know more about this sketchbook. But this has a nice white paper, so I thought it would highlight the lovely colours of these pencils really nicely. So I had to have a lot of patience for this one because I am doing this with just pencil. Now, as I said before, I'm not a coloured pencil artist, so you'll have to excuse how heavy I am with these. I'm not trying to sort of blend them or be really delicate with them. I just wanted to play with the mark making and create something just in my style, but with coloured pencils. So it doesn't have the finesse that perhaps a lot of coloured pencil artists use. I'm just doing it in my own style. And I did have a lot of fun with this, but it just took a lot longer than I expected, and that is because I usually put down a base layer of paint. So I did try to use most of the colours in the set, and yeah, just went back and forth. You can see I'm using some of the greens here. Some of the grain of the paper does show through, but it's pretty smooth, and I didn't want to spend even longer on there. But I'm just drawing from a photo I took in a garden, so there was quite a lot of flowers behind, and I could have spent a lot less time on it if I'd picked a simpler reference photo, but I did enjoy it, and like I said, I did want to use as many colours as I could from this set. So obviously I did all of the swatches, and there are some really beautiful colours in there, but I want to talk a little bit about the pencils themselves. So I do really love them because they are really lovely and soft, and as you've seen, they are highly pigmented. The range of these drawing pencils are focused on nature, which is why you won't see like super duper bright ones. There are a lot there that I know will get a huge amount of use because I am a landscape artist and I love using these for extra details on top. There are definitely some where I'm unsure, as you saw with some of the shades being very similar to others, but I do hope that was helpful for you to see, and I don't think that you need all of the new ones if you already have the 24 set. I do really like this grape one, and I really like some of the new purples and the pinky tones, and I also love this brighter green. I really think I'm going to get a lot of use out of that, and I'll probably buy multiples of that one and the slightly darker tone too. So I do really love how these work. I really like that you've got the blue tone greens and the warm tone greens. I think there's a much bigger range in this set. Obviously there is triple, so that makes sense. But yeah, a really nice range of greens, more browns, including the cooler toned browns, which I think is a really nice addition for the Derwent Drawing pencils, and also some of the purples as well. So definitely some really lovely colours here. I've sped this section up a little bit, but I do go back to real speed in a minute, but you can definitely see how I'm focusing on my mark making. So this still feels like my style, but it's very different because it is all pencil. As I said before, I do use paint as my base layer normally, and I'm going to be doing another picture on the right hand side of this spread so you can see how I would normally use them, because I don't tend to just use pencil first. And I have talked about this before, I am an impatient artist and I like things to be quick, and I really love adding on my details. So it was really different for me with this focus on marks because I did have to be patient building them all up, but it was beautiful to blend. If you did want to have these with a lighter touch, then you absolutely could and they would blend beautifully. I do really like their softness though, and I really like how easy they are to make that mark and also to layer on with other materials if you want to. I really love this blue. I think that's definitely going to be a new staple for mine. And then some of the really light colours, so the platinum and the really light pink, I think those will be lovely as well. I think there are some really lovely blues in here. I think an even lighter blue, sort of in between the Solway blue and the brighter blue, would be really nice. So I definitely think that they could expand this even further, but I'm really happy that they did because, as I said, they did triple the collection, and I think these are really well loved, and I don't think anyone was expecting to do that. And so it was really nice to see that a brand had actually listened to their consumers and that they did expand the range. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with these. I'm really glad I did buy the 72 set because I know they will get a lot of use. So I could have blended this all in better, but I was getting to the end of it here and I was really pleased with how this turned out. So you can see I'm just panning over it here. I didn't get much distance, again that's because I wasn't being very light touch with the pencils, but I do love the colours. I love the pops of the pink and the purple, and then some of the cooler tone greens, especially that really light one. I really like how that looks. So yeah, a little bit different for me, but very fun to do. And now I'm going to show you the next piece, which I do in my normal sort of style. So I'm using my watercolour palette here, so I tend to start with a base, and I've talked about how sort of my formula is with mixed media. Again, I'll link that up in the cards and down below, but I tend to go in with like the bigger shapes and the colour down first, and then I refine it more with my coloured pencils and sometimes my near colours. But for this one I am just focusing on using the Derwent Drawing pencils on top. So yes, I'm using my watercolours and then this Artway mop brush, which is really nice for laying down colour. I did put quite a lot of water onto this, so it took a little bit of time to dry. But yeah, just working my way around with all of the different colours. And then by putting these sort of blobs and these shapes down, it keeps things nice and loose, which obviously I couldn't go loose with just the coloured pencils, so this is definitely my preferred way. And yeah, it was so much quicker, except for the drying time. But yeah, I prefer to work in this way just because of my style and the way I use mixed media. So lots of different greens here again, and you'll see how I sort of add on my marks on top just to try and highlight more textures. But I am trying to be nice and loose, and I do find this brush really helps with that. I tend to use the pencils on top just to highlight different areas, and I do prefer to come in with that rather than continue with paint, just because I have a bit more control and I do like the texture that it adds. So trying to keep things nice and loose here, I'm trying not to have too much wet on wet. Again, that comes down to my patience where I haven't let it dry completely, but I did leave it to dry and then I came back to add on my colours on top. So I don't add too much on, but I do like to refine things, as I said. So I'm putting on some texture into the sky, so again that blue, and you can see how it just highlights some of the areas. I really like having this on top because I just think it adds more interest, and when it comes to like the details in the flowers and there on the lawn behind, I think it just finishes things off nicely. I use short and sharp marks here, so I don't have to cover the white of the page because I've put down my watercolour layer, but I can still put on these marks and the suggestion of leaves, and that's absolutely how I prefer to work. I also do my little trademark scribbles and like highlight some of the bushes back here, so I try to pick colours that definitely stand out, so a darker tone usually, but when I do have something dark down, and you'll see that in a minute, I do go in with the lighter colour down here in the left hand corner, for example, and I love that, and these pencils work really nicely to layer on top of these colours like that. So I really like that, just again suggesting more than showing, so trying to keep that simplification of the garden by using marks and pattern instead of actually drawing out every single leaf. And I really like that. I don't try and go realistic in my work, but I just try to suggest it, and I really like how this turned out. So again, just moving around the picture depending on the colours that I have, trying to pick out different greens so it stands out on top, using some of the red. Because this is more of a nature set, there isn't a super bright red, but I do really like the colours that are here. I do think that they could have gone with like a more cherry red. I think that would have been a nice addition, but I guess it doesn't really tie in with some of the more muted tones. I did also put on some of the yellow onto some of this green, and I think that worked really nicely. I do really like that really bright yellow. And then yeah, just finishing it off with a few more leaf shapes. But I'm coming to the end of this one now, so I really hope you enjoyed this video. It's a very long one for me, but I wanted to try and include all of the swatching and then also how I used it as well, because I think that's really helpful for you to see my art and a few different applications for how they could work in your work. So I'd love to know what you think of the Derwent Drawing set, if you have the 24 and if you're going to buy the 72, or if you haven't heard of these pencils before and if you're interested in them now. A huge thank you to my patrons for their support. Without them, I wouldn't be able to make these free YouTube videos every week, and a big thank you for watching. Please do leave a pencil emoji in your comment because I really appreciate you watching this really long video, and I hope you have a lovely week ahead. I will see you next Sunday in my new YouTube video. See you later.